Hi folks, Mark Higgins here from Unique Cars. With me today is a very special guest, Joe Felice, who was the manager of motorsport at Holden from 1969 to 1978. Now you may recall on an earlier video we talked about the Peter Brock Monaro, and we weren't sure whether it was the real one or if it was a tribute and all the rest. The great thing is we've discovered it's the real deal, and Joe's here to tell us a little bit about it. So Joe, 1969, let's cast back to that year. Peter Brock was barely out of his Austin A30, barely off his P-place in the racing licence in Des West. You were in charge of this whole program. Tell me about how it all came about.
Well, look, basically, just a little bit of background. Originally, there was a guy called David Mackay who was a journo, and they started up a three-car team in Sydney called the Holden Dealer Racing Team, not to be confused with the Holden Dealer Team. Right. Now, David was a pretty awkward sort of a guy. They ran three cars in dealer cars in Bathurst, which had reasonable success. They also did the London to Sydney Marathon, right? But it was a bloody drama with David. About that time, Harry got the flick from Ford because they brought Alterna out. I don't know whether you guys remember Alterna.
Yes.
Alterna was an American, and they brought him out as their competitions manager. Now, we actually did a deal with Harry, and Harry sort of never forgot or never forgave, and we decided that we made a management decision that we would run the program in-house rather than going outside to someone like David Mackay, who obviously was a journo and had a company called Scudera of Veloci, I think, at the time. So that's how it sort of all happened. Now, I was working in engineering in those days. I was a young cadet and interested in motorsport, obviously. And John Bagshaw, who was the director of marketing, he was the guy that really brought in motorsport, because we were a very conservative company in the early days. And we decided, okay, we'll take Harry on. And I was brought over from engineering to sales and marketing, because John Bagshaw was the director of sales and marketing, and eventually appointed as Holden's manager of motorsport. And away we went with the program. Now, as I said, our first effort was at Sandown, and we also went on the Ampol Round Australia Rally with Monaros. But then the first real effort was these three cars here. There were three of these. There was the car that Colin Bond and Tony Roberts won in. There was this one, which is Desi West. Desi West was one of our dealers, by the way, an older guy, but a very, very good, steady driver, and actually did a lot of instruction of Peter Brock. You know, he helped Peter a hell of a lot. I mean, Peter obviously was a very talented young guy, and Harry saw that he was talented. I mean, he was running around in that little Austin A30 in those days. But Harry saw the talent in him, as he did with Bondi. And our third car was Hank Walters and Peter Macro, that finished sixth. So this one, as I said, Bondi won. This one finished third, and our other car finished sixth, which wasn't a bad result for first effort with a brand new car, you know.
Well, it's a great effort.
Yeah.
And 1967 the Falcon won, 1968 the Monaro won, so it was
now 68, this is the interesting part about it. 68 was a 327 Monaro Bruce McPhee won.
Yes.
Now Bruce was a privateer who lived in West Wyalong. Nice guy. He won it on Michelin tyres, and drove his co-driver drove one lap. In those days you could put somebody in for one lap. And a lot of us used to do it. We'd get journos in. Your dad probably drove for a while too. We had Brian Hanrahan one year, drove one lap, and then Brocky'd get in and drive the other 500 kilometres, 500 miles. But it was interesting because the Monaros went all right, but we were in a situation where we were sort of hamstrung, because officially we couldn't motor race. We could rally and rallycross, so we had a lot of, you'll see all sorts of Castrol and Levi and TAA back in those days were our sponsors, and of course this whole money, of course. And so what we used to do, we used to say all the sponsors' money is used for circuit racing, and our money is used for rally and rallycross, which was a lot of bulldozers. but that's how we had to do it to get away with it. So the auditors wouldn't. General Motors was split. Half were for motor racing, half were against. You get the very conservative ones who didn't want to know about it. So we had to sort of cover up, and all this sort of thing. But the problem with these, I mean, they were a good car and we had success with them. The problem with them was we got a lot of people from the corporation saying, look, you're going to be exposed. They're too obviously a race car, you know. And by then we'd gone to Tyrannus for rally cars anyway, because they were a lot more nimble and small and running around with the XU1s and first the LCs and then the LJ. So we made a management decision that we would make Toronto our competition car for everything. And that was, of course, in 72 was the first one we won with the LJ XU1,
yep.
which was Peter, which is still my favourite win, funnily enough, because it was so unexpected. I mean, let's face it, we had a little 202 engine that was against 351 Ho. I don't know whether you've driven Bathurst, but up that back straight, you know, it's needed lots of cubic inches
exactly.
to get up the top.
Exactly.
And,
but that would have been very much the same in 69, because, as I say, the Falcon XR won in 67, the Monaro 327 69.
Yeah.
You turned up with this, but then Ford turned up with a Phase 1 GTHO,
Absolutely.
and they were clearly a factory team.
Absolutely.
You had the title of Motorsport Manager. Now, was it actually written on your card?
Yeah.
It was?
Oh, well, that was in,
okay. Righto. So the unofficial official
but
factory team.
the motorsport part too, because we had rally and rallycross. Remember, we built a car for Peter, the one that used to run a quarter all the time, the supercharged, the rallycross. He was never beaten in that car. So for us it was great, because rallycross was very popular.
Sure. But did you really feel you were in with a shot in 69 at Bathurst with these against the GTHOs?
Well, Harry felt we had a shot.
Yep.
Now, bear in mind, I think Gagan was fastest. Yes. I think he was fastest, and a couple of Fords were faster. But Bondi just kept going. You know, he never stopped, and they had trouble. They were in and out.
They had a lot of tyre trouble, didn't they?
Yeah. And look, it was the same. In all honesty, it was the same in 72 when we won the XU1. Okay. We were meant to win.
Yep.
The weather was for us. Ford had a lot of trouble, and really we were just meant to win. And anyone who's in motorsport will tell you things happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And of course, then the problem with that, then what happened was, as Harry being Harry, and I don't know how well you guys knew Harry, but he was different, and I dealt with him for 10 years, and he said to me, listen, Cock, the worst thing we ever did is, whilst it's great to win the race, now everybody expects us to win every year, and we're not going to beat those 351 bloody hoes ever again, you know. Anyway, so he came to me and he said, I want to fit a V8 to an XU1.
Right.
And that was that supercar drama, if you remember.
Yep.
The supercar thing. So anyway, after much toing and froing, we agreed for him to fit one, and we ran one as a bit of a sports sedan with a V8. Initially we put a 253 in one, and Peter Brock took it to Calder, and Peter came back and said, look, this is no better than the 6-cylinder. We're wasting our money, time and money. So Harry, being bloody Harry, of course, he'd come back and he said, well, listen, Cock. He called everybody Cock, Harry. I don't know, it must be an old wartime saying or something. Listen, Cock, if a 253 will fit under the bonnet, a 308 will fit in. Of course, it wasn't in the product program. You know, like we, as you know, General Motors or Ford don't operate off the tail end of their bum sort of thing. We're on a 5-year rolling cycle on product program. Anyway, he came to me and I finished up going to John Bagshaw, who was my boss. And I told him, he said, look, he said, what do you want to do? I said, well, I think we should let him have a shot. Anyway, so we agreed to let him have a shot, but it was done on a need-to-know only basis, you know, it's purely that. So we got 3 cars, one was an orange one was a pink one was a white one. The orange one was actually my company car, and they were actually GTRs, they weren't actually ones. Only because, there was no difference, only because the GTR accelerator linkage was a lot easier to hook up than the 3 car we actually were. And Harry said, look, that's not stuff about that. We'll just try around. So we went ahead with that program, and thinking, yeah, it's all going to happen. And then one of your father's colleagues, Evan Green,
who became a director of PR at Holden.
I know. We never spoke for years. And then next thing I know, he's working there. And he rings me up and says, can we have lunch? I said, what for? I'm thinking he's still outside. He nearly got me sacked. And anyway...
so that ended it. But in '69, these were a very standard car, weren't they?
Yeah, very standard. The only thing we used to do was brakes.
Yes.
And I've got to tell you something. This is an interesting story. I can tell you, with the brake pads with these, we used to drive the cars up to Bathurst, and like even me, you know, like and the mechanics, like we'd have to. Harry would make up a little program for us. So many stops, so many. Put in pads. We'd drive, say, to Albury, and the mechanics would be there, change a set of pads, put another set in, drive the next, say, to, I don't know, wherever. We used to actually bed the brakes in on the way to Bathurst and drive the cars.
Right.
And then the boys would take them out, obviously, and then they'd use those on the racetrack. And we used to often drive them. We didn't have a lot of transport. We didn't. You look at the magic transporters now. There was no transport. We had I gave Harry an old Bedford van, which I'd used for promotions, for a promotion for Moonville or somebody. Harry said, oh, we need a van. So I said, do you want this one? We said, yeah, we only had a 4-cylinder. He hated it. So he whacked up V8 at a 253.
So then on the Sunday or Monday, you drove them back?
We still drive. You know, and I mean, obviously, unless, like with the winning car, quite often you'd have to be scrutineered, so they'd have to the boys stay there, pull it apart and everything.
Throw the cheater bits out and all that sort of thing.
We didn't cheat a lot in those days. we used to compromise. You know?
Oh, compromise. Sorry, that's the word. Compromise. Take note.
Harry was very good at taking advantage of the rule book.
I've heard that. Yes, I heard he was very good at that.
He put me onto the word fettling.
Right.
Well, apparently, in a casting sense, fettling is taking all the dags off, right? So we put it on all homologation papers, but it became porting and polishing. They said, well, what have you done? Oh, that was just fettling to get all the dags. We used that for years, actually.